Do you know what this is?
I know what they're for.
What they for? Welcome to my personal therapy session of the Desert Island Institute of Film. So, I'm Dr. Paul.
I am Sigmund Freud, or Diet Dr. Paul.
Titles.
Welcome. We're glad you're here. We hope that if this is your first time, it's our internet movie show that we talk about, movie reviews.
Don't look away.
King of the Andals in the first
Father will know if you do.
This is a special edition. And go back and watch some of our earlier shows, Father, Son, Boomer, Millennial, talking about movies the way that you do with your own family, perhaps in a less erudite fashion. And
You like big words.
yes, we do.
I want to be baptized.
What is our episode that is so?
Today is deep. It's going to be the music, or the movies that changed us, our lives. The top 7 movies that changed us.
Now, let me ask you this. That is a fascinating thing to think about. Can you think of one movie, much less 7, that actually changed your life, changed how you live, how you think? It was a fascinating topic when we broached it. And I will tell you, of all of the episodes that we've had on this, and we've been doing it, we're going on almost a year, a new episode every Thursday. This is the one I have looked forward to more than any, because I really don't know how you think.
Right to jail, right away.
Even though, you're my son, spawn of my loins, all that kind of stuff. I always say that I got 2 kids. I got my daughter, my son. My daughter, Bray, if you got a thought in your head, you're going to share it. Not so with this guy here. This guy here, I would not play poker with you because you don't own my house.
And I don't have any money.
You just, it really is. It's the stereotype thing where, some stereotype wives will say, well, I never know how you feel. Okay, what do you feel? Tell me what you feel. I never know what's behind that kind of stuff. I fully expect this, and this is not, I'm not exaggerating, is that I would call you one day and say, oh, what are you going to do this weekend? And you'd say, oh, I thought the wife and kids and I were go to the get ice cream.
Take a trip to the Grand Canyon.
And I'm thinking, well, I didn't even know you're married or had kids. It's that kind of thing. You are that private kind of stuff. So this episode, not only do I expect to use every single one of these tissues as I cathart,
What the hell did you just say?
but also that I learn what's behind the man, the boy, the son.
The legend.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it ain't much.
I don't know. Your still waters run deep.
Tumbleweeds.
Yes. So,
First, breaking news.
yes.
Okay, so it may not come out yesterday, but I saw it yesterday, and that is the trailer for Welcome to Derry, which is the new show coming out that takes place between the first movie and the second movie, and it's going to be helmed by the worst piece of poo on the director's sphere, and that's Andy Muschietti. But as I said, I don't understand the point of the film or the point of the series. Is if it's supposed to be about it, why are you placing it in the one era where it's not around? We could have put him could have been It Chapter 3, It in Space, It Goes to Mars.
I would see that.
I would see that. Or we could have done It in the 1800s as if he's going to go take on Kevin Costner in Yellowstone. I would pay to see that. we'll go to the 1930s, and it could be in like mafia times. It could be Goodfellas versus it. Hey, come over here, you know, that whole thing. But it
Ernest
just,
Goes to Derry.
I'd watch that, but it's not. And unfortunately, it looks like a fever dream of just crap, and I don't get it.
Cash grab.
He's a one-trick pony, and it ain't even a good trick.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
My news this year, okay, this just in. The DVD Blu-ray drop date for Godzilla -1, May.
May.
If you speak Japanese and you live in Okinawa, yes. So yeah, no idea when the U.S., but they're thinking maybe sometime around late fall. But
Why so different?
it's what they did with Shin Godzilla. It was the same kind of thing. They're estimating that, and
That's for those of us without region-free players.
well, they're also expecting that, at least in Japan, it is a multi-disc set, which will include, guess what?
the black and white.
Godzilla -1 minus color. Yep. Which-
Godzilla minus color.
That's what it's called. It was released in the theaters.
love
Is
it.
That, yeah. Which we talk about this all the time. Like the people don't want to see movies with subtitles, and they don't want to see movies that are black and white, and they don't want to see movies that are silent. And this is 2 of the 3. It's a brilliant, brilliant film. It's great.
It's
and
a
so
good one.
I can't wait to
It's a
get
good
my
one.
hands on it. So yeah,
And that's your breaking news?
that's my breaking news. It's broken.
That's what
Okay.
grinds his gears.
So this episode, was it hard?
It was hard to go from my initial list to the smaller list because I kept getting down to 5 or 6 ones that I was like locked in on, and then I'd think of 10, 15 more and have to kind of start the process again. But there was about 4 or 5 of them that were definitely going to be on the list, and then I was trying to figure out the others because there's quite a few movies that were on this list, but it kept turning out to be a list of movies that I've already done, and I didn't want it to be 7 movies that I've already talked about, so I removed a lot of those, and I'll talk about them in honorable
Yeah,
mentions.
you're just gonna make me feel bad now because I'm probably gonna repeat some movies
That's
that I've
okay.
talked about. So
You're definitely going to repeat some movies.
My dad would never do that. He loved me.
Did you cry at all?
During the making of this list?
Yes.
No.
Do you think you're
I
gonna
don't
cry
think
on this?
any of them are sad to me, so no, I don't think so.
So you don't live a life full of regret
No.
and shame.
Do you?
There are elements of my life that I regret.
I'm sitting right here.
Oh my goodness gracious! I hope nothing ever happens to you because this is going to be a hard episode to watch.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, go ahead. I don't
Number
know what he's going
7.
to say. He doesn't know what I'm going to say. Typically, episodes revolve around what we call the 7, and so we're going to start with the 7 movies. In this case, start at the bottom, go to the top.
Okay, number 7. The most recent film on my list, 2015's film The Revenant. And now you say, why do you care about this movie so much? First of all, it's a great movie. It's beautifully shot. It's probably one of the most, I think, complete movies to come out in a long time. From sound design to directing to the acting to the visuals, the cinematography, the score. It's super tight as a film, but it's because it's so thought-provoking for me. It's the reason that started the inception point of doing a YouTube channel, and so
No Revenant, no Desert Island Institute of Film.
I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe now in the film after.
What's the
sparks it.
connection? Why?
It's just a movie that makes me think, and that's kind of, I find that movies that I get excited about are ones that I want to talk about. Not so much. I love dunking and slamming on movies as much as the next person, but I like to talk about movies that make me think. Something that it's that pit of your stomach that it makes you just like you feel like excited to watch it, and that's that movie for me. I don't know. It's just a great movie.
I think you should go back and watch it several more times, so it'll cause you to think. Because I would love to see that happen.
Yeah,
On this show.
smelling some smoke. I watched it 3 times last week, so
Well, I'm going on record. Tom Hardy should have won Best Actor.
It's funny that you say that because
Oh.
I agree.
It's funny, yeah. Deja vu.
Ooh. But it is a great movie, man.
All right.
It's a great movie. I use it when I teach blocking in my class about tracking shots.
Okay. All right. My number 7, and I don't know, this might be where I get my first cry in here.
Oh, it's certain.
1958, Horror of Dracula. Yeah. Now, let's talk here. I was born, raised in Columbus, Ohio. Those of you that know the area know the Southern Hotel. And in the Southern Hotel, there's the Southern Theater. It used to be a grindhouse. We had a business that was, I mean, you would step out the door of this business and reach your hand out and you're touching the Southern Theater. It was that close. And so the first movie I saw there was Billy Budd. And I as a child, didn't remember anything on why it didn't resonate with me at all. Watched it like 30, 40 years later. It's a good movie, but Horror of Dracula was the first Hammer film that I saw, and it was a grindhouse. They would show 2-3 movies.
Were you aware of Hammer films before that?
No, what I knew about horror was Universal's and on television. I'd never seen a horror movie on a movie screen before. We used to have a thing called Chiller Theater. Most people, if you live close to a large market, they had horror hosts, and they would show old horror movies, and some kind of a host would do, like Svengoolie. Svengoolie's not new. I mean, we've been doing that since the 50s and 60s. And I could never stay awake. My mom wouldn't let me stay awake to watch Chiller. So I saw, a little bit of horror, but to see Horror of Dracula, Hammer, which wasn't black and white, it was in full Hammer, blood, red.
In your face colors.
It was exhilarating. It's not the best Hammer film. My favorite is Bride of Dracula kind of thing, but it created in me this lifelong love of horror. And without that, I don't know that I would have anything. We do talk a lot about horror movies on this and comic book movies and
genre films.
Yeah. And so, but that's sort of where it started. And that would the love of film, the film geek inside me, because you think about it. I am sitting in there, 2-3 movies twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my childhood. I was raised in a movie theater.
Not a bad babysitter.
No. Well, there's
not going to screw around and touch your kids.
That happened to me in another theater, but that is another therapy that I'm not telling you guys about.
Jinxies, Batman. All right.
I told you this story.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Number 6, 2000s, Battle Royale. This was the opening of the window into the world of foreign films, and I would never come back to that window again.
When you say foreign films, you mean films with subtitles?
Films that ain't in American. They don't speak American. They don't speak McDonaldese. Yes. Battle Royale, Old Boy, kind of both right there.
Two great ones.
2 amazingly great movies. 2 genre-bending films that are classics that need to be watched. And I think Battle Royale is just the lesser known of the 2. And so that's why I put it on here. But it's the reason why probably a quarter of the movies that I watch are foreign films. And it's the reason why every movie I watch is in subtitles.
And those were both very unusual movies because it was not the kind of thing that American filmmakers would touch those films.
No, not at all. They're very different.
Yeah. And it's interesting you say that because my number 6 is exactly the same reason. My first horror film, or first foreign film, which was
You know what? I bet I know what movie it is. But you can go ahead.
1981. Das Boot.
Das ist Boot.
Yes.
Great
German
movie.
submarine. Saw it in Maine. Haagen-Dazs.
Very 1980s movie.
Yeah. Haagen-Dazs, honey, vanilla, ice cream
I
in
wanna
the
try
theater.
that.
Never had ice cream in a movie theater before in Maine.
Yeah.
You guys got it going up in Maine. I'm telling you.
This is cold enough up there. I want
Yeah.
lobster roll at the movie theater.
I remember the experience of that is that it's a claustrophobic movie. It takes place on this submarine and they're sinking to the bottom and the pressure of the ocean, and you can hear the pew pew as the bolts are starting to go. And it's this whole thing where this collective with the audience, and it reminds me of in Poseidon Adventure in the 70s, where if you've ever seen that film, and there's a scene where a character needs to go underwater and swim the length of the ship and takes a deep breath, and you can hear the entire theater. I remember the whole theater taking the breath.
It's like
kind of stuff.
inadvertent too.
Right. Or with the William Friedkin's the
Exorcist.
no the Clockwork, not Clockwork Orange. You need to edit these out, kind of thing.
If you get to it, maybe.
Yeah. Now, Tim.
Today, Junior.
French Connection.
French Connection.
For
I
some
knew
reason.
that's where you're going, and I couldn't even spit it out.
Yeah, it's the car chase scene where you could feel the audience. It's the best car chase ever.
They say that's the.
It is still, but I remember you'd see people doing this in the theater, like for the breaks kind of stuff. That's what Das Boot was like. Not only, the thing about it is, at that time period, there's so few American screens available. In order to set that aside for a film that was a foreign film, it was only, you knew if you went to a movie and saw a foreign film, it was the best of the best.
Because it had to be.
Not now, because everything, even their bad films, come across with streaming and all that. But it was, it opened up the doors. I know people don't like subtitles, and I prefer the original language because I think it's richer, and oftentimes it's a better performance than the dubbing. But
it can be lost in translation too.
You're right.
You can lose a little bit.
If you have the subtitles and the dubbing at the same time, you really, my world would be so much less without foreign films. So.
Also, you don't really know how much you miss in American films because you mishear things. It's not the word that they say. You'd be surprised how different some movies are based if you just watch it with the subtitles.
Dune. I remember seeing it in the first one in the theater, and not when I watched it on. I thought, oh, that's what they're saying.
Now I can understand the words that are coming out of your mouth.
Okay.
That was number 6. Number 5. Number 5. 1999's Fight Club. This is where I was introduced to the greatest director of all time, David Fincher, and sent me aloft my journey of movie fandom. And my boat floated away.
You have a thing for Fincher.
Ooh, Dreamweaver.
It was my boyfriend.
He's never made a bad movie.
How did it change you?
Because films, to that point, a lot of the movies that I watched were not as abstract. I think they were a little more cut and dry, a little bit more mainstream. And this was sort of like the doors finally starting to come opening up to these different films that are like more deep and like more independent films, something that say more themes that reach beyond just surface level ideas. And this is sort of the introduction to that. Because I remember watching it. I remember finding the DVD and asking you about it. I said, I'd never seen this before. Is it any good? You're like, yeah, it's a good movie. And I remember watching and just watch that movie all the time. There's no dead weight in that movie at all.
You talk about it all the time. Almost every episode you bring it up.
It's a brilliant movie.
And I need to go back and watch it for the second time.
I like gritty movies, darker movies, but not to the point that it takes away from it. And he's a master of that.
I owe it to connect with you, because it's in fact, that's what I think.
It's a top 10 greatest film of all time for me personally.
Oh. So why, if you say he's the greatest director, why didn't you put him on Fight Club?
He's not the greatest director yet.
That's what you just said.
He
Want
will
me to
be.
roll the tape back?
He will. No, you don't need to.
Okay.
If it's even there.
Yeah. All right. I am going to go back and rewatch that.
Yeah, he's on his way to being the best director. Obviously, he's going to need to win an Oscar. He has to. You have to be that guy. But in terms of, you look at his like filmmaking resume, he's right there.
Okay. Well, my number 5. Allow me to
retort.
let me speak to my son here, okay? Because this is all about you. 1992, Parma, Ohio,
Tank Girl.
Army of Darkness.
That close.
I got divorced. I have a son and a daughter. I love
Wasn't
both
my
of
fault,
them.
I promise.
That's what we tell you. And made the very difficult decision that my daughter would go with my ex-wife and you would go with me. And so there was a period of time where I was a single dad and, you're like my wingman and all that. And we lived in Ohio and drove to work and, had a childcare center at the agency that I worked at. So we'd drive there and back. And we would often go to the Parmatown Mall. And that was some of my best memories. And the movie that kind of thinks I always go back, and I don't know, it was the first movie we ever saw in the Parmatown Theater. I couldn't tell you, but it's the one that I remember. And I don't know that we'd be sitting here today with the Desert Island Institute of Film were it not for Army of Darkness. And I'm sure we went to the food court, and I probably got Middle Eastern, and you probably got
Taco Bell or McDonald's.
Yeah.
And then some Superman ice cream.
And that was so delicious, wasn't it?
That's the most delicious vanilla ice cream I've ever had.
Yeah, it was. They had it in the mall, and it was Superman colors, but it was essentially just vanilla ice cream.
How screwed up! They couldn't have made it like a different flavor, something mundane at least. No.
Yeah, but you lapped it up.
I guess it was ice cream that was sugar free, of course.
It wasn't.
Oh, it wasn't?
No.
You just lied to me anyway.
I didn't lie, but I
didn't care.
It just broke my heart that you wanted to be like all the other boys and girls. And you had already raised him as a vegetarian, so he was getting a McDonald's hamburger with no meat.
Yeah, it was McDonald's hamburgers with no meat is cheese, onions, and ketchup.
So how could I withhold from him Superman ice cream?
Yeah, no, especially after packing those Little Debbie's. They're not Little Debbie's, they were Snackwells in my lunch that tasted terrible.
Yeah.
I just want a Swiss Miss roll, man.
Well, it was fascinating because what happened is this was the phase 2 of the Southern Theater, because it was like
Southern Theater.
We could look out your window and we could see the Parmatown.
I mean, I'm
mall.
telling you, that is a large part of my memories as a childhood takes place in that mall, going to the comic book store. Then even the one in Columbus, when we go visit Grandpa, there was that really cool comic book store that they had near there.
Paper Mill in Reynoldsburg.
Love that place.
Yeah. But it was in that theater with Army of Darkness. It was, we were both 7 years old, and it was it was the Ray Harryhausen, the skeletons and the fight. And it's a brilliant, funny, my favorite of the Evil Dead trilogy. But it really just was about connecting with you and how much I love being your dad and still like being your dad, and how proud I am of you as the man you are, the man you become. And I think without that, again, that is one of my favorite experiences. The New Testament talks about Mary looking back at Jesus when he was a boy, and it said that that she just sort of cherished these things in her heart. We don't know from after he was like 7 years old what happened with Jesus, until he was 33. Same thing. It's like I cherish those experiences with you, and that was just a magical time. Changed my life.
I'm glad that Army of Darkness has made me the man that I am today. That's a good one, though. And it didn't end up on my list, but it's kind of on my honorable mentions. So we're on number...
That was number 5.
5 for you, so number 4 for me. Okay. Number 4 for me is 1994's Pulp Fiction. And that is the movie that kind of got me into the idea of wanting to make movies. And it's the first sort of like screenplay or film that I watched where it was like an unlinear storytelling. But it got its hooks in me because it had the cool aspect of, ooh, grab my wallet out of there. Which one is it? Oh, it's the one that says bad mother. That's just, as a kid, that's just so cool. And I don't know, whatever it is, the storytelling aspects of it, it was just new to me, and it was so different that it really sparked that in me. And that's kind of where I remember wanting to really do the whole movie thing after that point.
Didn't you work in a video store?
Yeah, when I was like 15 or 16.
Was it about the same time period?
1994, I was 8.
I guess you weren't allowed to work. Okay.
They frowned on hiring 8-year-olds in America at that point in time.
And so this got you to planted the seed about making films.
Yes, I mean, the idea of making a movie didn't occur to me to that point. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where you kind of like, oh, I would love to do this. Oh, wait, I can. I could do this. Yeah.
Well, and you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the reason. My very first screenplay that I spent actual time on was unlinear for that very reason, because of Pulp Fiction.
I encourage you to go
Reprisal Street, baby.
on Amazon and do Fate Alchemy. And I got to tell you how proud I was to see your name on screen, kind of stuff. And you were on screen, you know, and you were a extra on a movie back.
Called Walker Payne.
That's right.
Mhm.
Yes.
With
And Patrick.
I just said it. I can't remember. Jason Patrick.
Jason Patrick.
Drew DeMatteo and Sam Shepard before he died.
Yeah.
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 And this is when Drew DeMatteo was on her hot part of The Sopranos, so she was a mega star when this came out.
Yeah.
But it was Matthew something or other, the guy that did What Women Want, the same director.
It's just so interesting to be able to see somebody that you know and love on the screen, and then to actually. And I don't think your name was listed in the credits as an extra. On that.
I'm an actor. It's I won't bleep this out because it's the name of the character in the movie. But it's Candy Ass Bitch.
Oh, in that one, yeah.
In
but
that one, yeah.
Walker Payne.
No, I'm just an extra.
Oh yeah, no, I saw.
non-featured
No,
extra.
but the fact that you helped.
Yeah.
Yeah. With that kind of that's I'm very proud of. It's different. It's very different kind of stuff. So
Well, my next one, I want to be a published writer now, so I'm gonna do that.
you could do that.
I am. Well, I'm going to.
You could like father like son.
Done and done.
Okay.
Just hadn't happened yet.
All right.
Everybody else just hadn't found out. It's done. Everybody else got to catch up.
Okay. All right. My number 4, 1978. Superman.
Well, no shit.
Oh, I was gonna say Batman.
No. This was.
Just kidding.
No, this was. You will believe a man can fly. It was.
I knew this was gonna be on your list.
Yeah, it was. As a comic book geek growing up, Superman, Batman,
Still
Lois
is.
Lane. Yeah, but it was a brilliant experience to sit in the theater and see your childhood hero, and it done, and it wasn't fake looking. And not that the TV show was. I mean, I love the TV show, but this was different. This was an adult, and the thing that I remember about it is not only did I love it and I loved the experience of it, but I was also disappointed by it. And I think the lesson in it was that as a childhood, we always look fondly at our childhood, but we grow up and the world changes. And don't be surprised if you're always going to be disappointed, because I was disappointed with that it broke the mythos. In the same way they continue to break the mythos, the costume doesn't look the way that I think it should look. That Batman and Superman, they have codes. Superman doesn't kill, and so in the 1978 film, he flies backwards to turn time back. And I just remember thinking, no, you can't do that. That's not part of the mythos. So on one hand, it was the child grows up and it's paying tribute to the child, but it's also this notion of being disappointed in general.
I
But
think that might be a rite of passage for comic book movies, is that you can't like everything about them. You got to be disappointed a little bit.
you were the one that told me, but Dad, that your Superman in 78 was breaking the mythos for people back in the 40s, because the costume didn't look the same and that kind of stuff. So every generation, you have a generation of a Superman. Who do you identify for your generation of Superman?
Christopher Reeves.
Okay.
Christopher Reeves. Just because I don't like the others
Okay.
and they stink. They're doo-doo.
Okay.
But I think the world needs a Superman. I think not a real Superman. Well, that'd be cool. But I think the world needs a fictional version of Superman, just like we need Batman.
I think the world really needs, this notion of truth, justice, and the American way, because we've lost track of some of those values.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
100%. All right. That was your number 4. So this is my number 3. And this one may be silly to you, but it ain't to me. And that is 2007's Paranormal Activity. And that is the movie that gave me the kick in the pants to start writing screenplays again and writing again. And, that what came from that was Fate Alchemy and the movie that you were just talking about, a moment ago, but it's Paranormal Activity because that movie should remove any excuse you have for not just do it. Just flipping do it. That's the problem. Most people want to put excuses on things when in actuality that's just in your own head. So get out there and do it. And that's what this taught me. It's a great movie, super low budget, but it's set everything up in a big way. I like the franchise altogether. I mean, it's every way you cut it, great sound design, but it was done for pennies on the dollar, and it's proof.
And so you saw that and then immediately thought, I can do that, and I'm going to do
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I've been always thinking about it. Why don't you just do it? Just do it.
Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it! Make your dreams come true!
Find out.
And you did it. What's your next screenplay?
It's going to be a book instead.
Okay. You know, you and I, we talked about, and I have a great idea.
Mm-hmm. I do too.
We'll change movies forever.
Mm-hmm. I got to learn how to draw though, because I think it's the one that I'm going to
Storyboard.
do is going to be a graphic novel, less like a graphic novel, more like a novel, but with picture inserts every few pages. So I need to learn how to draw because I haven't drawn in a long time. I used to be really good at drawing. Now
You did.
Stink at it now.
Okay. Good. All right. Have you
Yes.
felt like crying at all yet?
No, none of mine.
All right. Well, excuse me while I
Whip this out.
have some therapy here. 1952, Quiet Man.
Oh, sorry.
Have you seen
I was
it?
gonna
Have you heard of
sneeze.
it?
No, never heard of it.
John Wayne, John
Wow,
Ford,
wow, there, Pilgrim.
Maureen O'Hara, Ward Bond, Barry Fitzgerald, Victor McLaughlin. It is the reason that this resonates with me and how it changed me is it's really more about me coming to grips with who I am and where I come from. And I was not a good son to my folks, my mom especially, and it's cats in the cradle. You know, when she finally had stopped working and wanted time to connect, and then I was just too busy and with friends and that kind of stuff. And I just remember I'd come home from college or travel and, you know, she'd want to sit and talk and I'd wanted to go and hang out with my friends. And I know how hard that, looking back on that, how hard that was. And she was gracious. She never said anything. And I think if she were still alive, she probably would say, Paul, no, you were a good son, kind of stuff. We always sort of, you know, retrospective kind of stuff, but she's very important to me. And what she taught, even though my name is, I was adopted, and so the name, you know, my name is Mackenzie, which is Scottish, but that's an adopted name. Darby's, that's our culture, and she's the one that taught me about that and the work ethic and how strong the Irish are, and that book or that movie is a love letter to Ireland, and it is a beautiful film, beautifully shot.
What's it called again?
Quiet Man.
Quiet Man.
And it's a story of John Wayne, who is a boxer in the U.S. in Pittsburgh, and he goes back to Ireland because he wants to live in the house where he was raised, and it's kind of a love story, but it's also it's kind of a comedy, and it's kind of a drama, and it's sweet and it's beautiful. There's a scene in E.T. where the little boy and the girl, and he kisses the girl in the movie. And it is a connection to they show the movie. It's like the same time he's acting out the scene from Quiet Man. So this was obviously an important film to Spielberg, but it just reinforces who I am and what we do. We're hard workers. I've told the story before that my grandmother, you know, I came home from college and she's like 75 years old and knock on the door and she's, you know, come in. And I walk in and she is lugging a chest of drawers up the stairway by herself. I mean, tough woman kind of stuff. That's what's in you, and that's what's in me.
A tough woman?
Yeah. A Darby.
Oh, my bad. Just making sure.
Yeah. It's one of John Ford's best films, too.
It is a John Ford movie? Okay.
It is.
That would be...
Number
52.
3. Yeah, 1952.
Huh. I didn't know Wayne did.
Great cast. Amazing cast. Yeah.
I'm surprised I've never even heard of it. All right. My number 2 This was going to be one of two movies, but I went with this one, and that is
Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Dang it, how'd you guess? I'm going to have to change it now. 1996's Trainspotting. And it's one of those, it's the message of the film. If you're ever go through a dark time in your life, it's one of those movies that I think has a good message and can kind of set you on a good path. And I think movies with good messages are necessary. It's not an easy movie to watch. It's about addiction, and that's a tough subject. But it's well made. It's thought provoking. It's tough to watch, but it's, I think, rewarding when you get through it. And one of the few movies that kind of still will get me, and that's why I don't watch it all the time, because it does make me cry at the end, but it's a happy cry as opposed to a sad cry. And it's just a great movie. And, you know, it makes it even better that it's Scottish, you know, sounds cool.
It is a really difficult film to watch.
But the imagery, the cinematography, the music, the acting, it's just a well done movie throughout, and kind of a little bit of a ride, but strap in, because it's a bumpy ride. It should get to you some point in there and make you think a little bit.
I think if I would have sat down long enough to think about, you know, that I might have thought that might have been one that you would have picked. So yeah,
that one or Requiem for a Dream's kind of in the same category.
They're both really hard to watch.
Yeah, that one, Ellen Burstyn takes that one to a different place, and it's a little darker for me. But they're both similar in what they subject matter and themes, and both great movies.
I need to go back and watch all 7 of your films. I do. I need to do that.
They're good movies to watch.
Yeah, maybe I could learn, you know, learn from the film what it is that you don't have the words to say. So
it's probably a lot.
Yeah.
The answer is not. It shouldn't always be. I just like it.
All right. My number 2. 1989, Field of Dreams.
Of course. Would have probably guessed that this one should have been on there for you.
Well, I asked Heather, you know, when we were talking about this, she says, "Is Mr. Holland's Opus on there?" I said, "No, that one didn't change my life.
It just made you cry."
It did.
I thought that one could have potentially been on
The
there.
ugly
It just depended
cry.
on what made you cry about it.
Yeah. Well, you know, I was adopted, never knew my biological father.
I didn't know him either.
Of course. Tracked the guy down. I mean, he passed away in about the same time that my mom passed away in like 98, I think it was. Found him on Ancestry and pictures and all that. So I grew up without a father, sort of wanting a father and feeling bad about that, and everybody else, went camping with my dad and went fishing with my dad and all this kind of stuff.
Daddy.
Yeah, didn't have that. And then my mom met somebody and got married, and he adopted me and became the only dad that I had. And but he was not a warm, loving kind of guy. I don't remember him ever saying he loved me. I don't remember everything I did was wrong. Everything I did was bad. And it was like, you know, what you need to do is get a job. Okay. Well, what's that going to do? What's that going to give for you? Okay. Well, Dad, I'm going to be in the, you know, tried out for a choir. What's that going to do for you? What you need to do is get a job. And so that was really hard. And I don't know that I was all that respectful growing up. I was manipulative. I would have been a hard kid to be, you know, a stepfather to. But when he died, I remember that my mom and I going through his stuff, and he had a press clipping. I was in a show in high school that he had clearly had no use for, respect for. I had the lead in this show, but he had clipped this out of the newspaper and had been carrying it around in his wallet for years. And then that made me realize that he probably had taken it to his buddies at work and was bragging, but he could never tell me that he was proud. And that he was just born in that generation that doesn't show love or emotion.
Yeah.
And Field of Dreams was that movie that just sort of talked about the relationship between fathers and sons. And let me just say, there are people out watching this right now that probably grew up without a dad, or maybe in a strange relationship with your dad. I've always seen it seems easier for us to celebrate Mother's Day than it is Father's Day. And I think sometimes as a men, we've abdicated a lot of that responsibility, and we've made child rearing the woman's work, and I think that we are less because of that. And when I did have kids and became a single dad, and I can't do anything about what happened to me as a child. I can't do anything about that daddy gene, but what I can do is try to be the best dad that I can to the kids that I had. And so Field of Dreams was really that, and that generation of baseball, that it's, hey, Dad, you want to have a catch?
You want to have a catch with me, son?
Yeah.
Gee, Dad.
It really is. And I just remember seeing it, and it was the best $7.50 worth of therapy that you could get. And I came away from it not only sort of mourning the part of my life where I didn't have a really close relationship with my dad, to focusing my eyes and my vision on the future and trying to be the best dad that I could be. So,
Aww. No tears.
No.
You sure? You want to squirt a little?
Let's see you cry. Come on. Squirt a few. Come on. Cry. Come on. Cry.
The great
You
Santini.
want to squirt a little? Yeah, I love it. All right. So number 1, real quick, my honorable mentions. I want to mention things like Lord of the Rings and Jurassic Park, which have been on my movies recently, so I didn't put them on there. But Memento, I talk about that at school a lot. It's not story you tell, it's how you tell the story. Avengers is the movie that got me back into being okay with action films. Donnie Darko is just one of those movies that just makes you think. Snatch is an amazing movie. Evil Dead for the same reasons, as well as Dead Alive for the same reason that you said, Army of Darkness. But then my number 1 film is 1981's The Howling, which is my first film memory.
That's the first movie you ever remember seeing?
I remember seeing, yes. And I scared to death of that werewolf change scene. And I love that scene, don't get me wrong, but it scared the bejesus out of me. And still, yet I wanted to watch it. So, yeah. I'm sure that mask in the closet and you pretending to be a werewolf to scar me further didn't help. But I digress. It's still my first movie memory.
Do you think it was wrong of me to?
No. Kids need a little scarring from time to time. Keeps them on their toes.
I remember, telling you that I've never told you this before, but Daddy's a werewolf. And it might have been after watching Teen Wolf or something like that. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And you are?
Didn't matter. Still terrified.
Yeah. And I said, yeah, you want to see me change? And then I would start and that's like, nope, that's it.
Nope.
Stop. That's the first movie you remember seeing, but it wasn't in the theater.
No, it would have been on TV.
Do you
I remember
remember
watching it at the house. Yeah, the one of the house in Texas. I guess it would have been the house that Crypto was at.
Yeah.
So the one with the backyard and the sliding glass door. We've just been in the living room watching it on the TV there. I have quite a few memories watching movies and stuff in there. And eating ramen noodles.
Well, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first movie you ever saw in a theater?
I don't know.
Wow. I feel bad.
Like I
for you.
remember seeing movies like at the Parmadale Theater, but I don't remember what movies I saw. So I don't have like a specific memory of seeing Army of Darkness. But I remember being in the theater quite often.
Do you remember seeing Little Mermaid in Texas?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No specific movie memories, but I remember being in the lobby and stuff.
So that did that give you a love of movies or a love of horror movies?
I think that's the genesis of my love for horror movies. Because when I think about horror movies, that's where my brain always goes, is to the 80s horror movies in that era, like The Fly or, gritty stuff.
the director of that is going to be at Wonderfest.
Dante.
Yeah. Maybe you should bring your video copy, or my video copy that you probably own. So, all right.
Yeah.
My honorable mentions, it really comes down to about movies that change us, are often connected to people. And so I like Shawshank Redemption because it's about friendship, and I think of the friends in my life that I am a different person because of them. I think of Moulin Rouge and the soft spot in my heart I have again to my daughter and the connections over that.
That's a good movie too.
While You Were Sleeping, which is my wife's favorite movie, which I just can't stand.
I thought you loved the Gilmore Girls.
No. It's a Wonderful Life, and just how Christmas and how much I love Christmas, and Jaws, event films. But the number one film that I'm going to have as my choice is, it's my number one film, but I regret that there's not a better choice. And I'll explain why, what that means. But the number one movie that I have on there is The Godfather, 1974. And
What's wrong with that?
it is, well, but it didn't change me. It is the best film American-made film in my lifetime. And it goes back to this time period that we talked about in our Oscar show about when I was in high school, me and my buds, we were seeing every nominee for Best Picture, and that was unusual. And movies back then were not event movies and, that kind of stuff. And so it was really art and talking about movies and analyzing them. And that was just a great, great film that just sort of has resonated and stuck with me. But it didn't change me. And when you start thinking about movies that change you, it's like, well, what you want to be a better person. And, I had a little faith awakening about 11 years ago. And I talk about what in my life has had the biggest impact on me. Having you as a son changed my life. Having Bray changed my life. Having, finding and marrying Heather changed my life. The relationship with my parents. But of all of that, the most profound thing in my life that changed was Jesus. And all right, don't.
They already turned it off. You're late.
Here, I believe that we're not going to preach here or anything, but I believe that we have a hole inside of us that we spend our life trying to fill, and we fill it through a variety of things. We can fill it with drugs or alcohol, and obviously that where that leads, and or sex, or money, or career, or friends, or social media. It's all the things that we need to make ourselves, when we put our head on our pillow at night, sort of feel like that life is meaningful, and why we are on this world, why this planet. And I'm kind of sad that film, this language of film that we have in our lives, that connect father to son, or son to daughter, or whatever, or to our hobbies, but yet that we have so few films. Most faith-based films are preachy and kind of awkward, and people don't watch, with the exception of, I've said before, The Chosen is just an amazing, if there's ever a movie, it's not a movie, it's a TV show, although they released it.
Was that what you said your pick was, The Chosen?
No, I said Godfather.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm saying, but the reason I didn't put it in the number one spot, The Chosen, is because it's really not a movie. It's a TV show. It was released episodically, and it is amazing. And it is people that have no concept of faith whatsoever, have never cracked the cover of a Bible. When they've watched The Chosen, it's almost uniformly, it's like Rotten Tomato is just off the chart. People love it because it focuses on the good things. It focuses on how we can be better, whatever that hole is, how to fill that hole. And so if you're all out there and you're feeling that, I encourage you to check into the Chosen. I couldn't end this episode.
Why don't you talk about The Godfather? That's your pick.
Because I did talk about it. But it was like, I wish my number one should represent the biggest change in my life.
Then why doesn't it?
Because there isn't a faith film that movies haven't done that for me. Probably if I would have watched The Chosen 11 years ago, I would probably, I didn't. It didn't exist back then. But when I had my little rebirth, it's like, no, when I'm laying awake in bed, I'm thinking, what's the number one movie that changed my life? Everything else seems shallow, because I've done a lot of changing in my 67 years, and it's been around relationships and family and holidays and pain and the mistakes that we've made. But the number one change in my life, I can't connect it to a film. And that makes me feel kind of sad. So That's why I put The Godfather on there, because it is a great movie and I have a love for it, you know, as a, you know, I could go on.
Fortunately for that, I don't think we have time.
Well, again, I hope this has been therapeutic, and I would encourage you, you guys, to do this, to think about movies that changed your life, not just movies that you like, but movies that really change. And I would suspect that a lot of it's going to come down to the people that we love and have lost, missed, you know, in our lives. And but it's a very therapeutic, and I think this is best done in relationships. So sit down with your mom and have that. I wish I could sit down and have this conversation with my mom. I do, or my dad. I really do. And I'm glad that you and I had a chance to share this. When I said that this, I've never looked forward to an episode of this more than because I just want to climb inside your head. I don't want to find out that you're married and kids and going off to the beach. And it's like, you know, I don't know what you do when I'm not around. So
Nothing.
no, I don't know about that. But
Nothing
you've been like a
special.
son to me. So
Yeah.
yeah. So all righty then. Well, happy St. Patrick's Day, which that's today.
guess.
It won't be when this comes out. It'll be a few days later, but
Since so many people care about St. Patty's Day,
it's Irish.
it's not really.
Glory be and the saints be praised.
Pretty sure they don't celebrate St. Patty's Day in Ireland.
Yeah.
That's the most Irish place on earth.
I'm gonna shillelagh up your.
What's a shillelagh?
I think it's a stick of some.
That's rude.
Well, send us your ideas, your thoughts about internet's a cruel place. You guys have been really cool, and we appreciate that. Hope you understand how much we enjoy doing this, and we hope that you have as much fun as we do. It's been thought-provoking, meaningful, and we will see you
At the movies.
or in the therapist chair.
Might need some.